Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show tonight, Jason. It's so glad to have you on here.
Awesome. Well, it's good to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're having trouble with the Facebook stream, but we're good on YouTube. And we've already got a few visitors hopped in. And welcome, everybody. Hey, Doug.
Awesome. It's the Doug.
It's the Doug. Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome to Beyond Quest with Reck. Tonight's guest, I've got Jason Willis talking about his brand new book, Dropout, which is the second in his, what's the series called, Jason?
System Apocalypse Liberty.
Yeah. And this is in Tao's universe, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So super excited. Hey, Gary. Nice to have
Gary.
you. Nice to have you join us. Gary, if you haven't read Dropout yet, you need to pick up the second book. It's good. So full disclosure, Jason and I interviewed Jason. He was one of the original folks that got interviewed prior to LitRPG Con last year. And we've been fast friends since that interview. I mean, we just there's been a couple of nights where we have talked for 4 to 8 hours.
It's true. We're both from the Midwest.
Yeah. There was one night where Laura jumped in our group chat, chatted with us, was like, I'm going to bed, goes to bed, wakes up like 4 or 6 hours later, and we're still sitting there chatting, pretending to write.
and then we looked like jerks because we were just about to wrap up, and as soon as she popped on, we're like, oh, it's time to go.
Yeah. We're like, yawn. Oh boy, man, it's like 4 a.m. Maybe we should go to bed.
I told Reck I'm hijacking his show, and we're going to do the first episode of the Mutual Admiration Society because I've been listening to Stumbling Up, and it's so great.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that, Jason.
For anybody, like I said, I'm hijacking your show. For anybody that hasn't actually read Stumbling Up, it's got the draw of the adorable, amazing slug, and it's very funny. But that can trick you into thinking it's just a comedy and just funny. But it's also got great adventure. It's got some darker stuff. Doug says I'm unable to talk for a long period of time. Doug knows me better than that because he's one of the others that I've done that with.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stumbling Up it's in some ways actually more mature than the average lit RPG, while also and more realistic in some ways, while also being funny and silly and goofy. I said it's a little bit like Princess Bride and Rocky Horror Picture Show in that it's really hard to pin down to market, but it's really a lot of fun.
Well, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is kind of from a marketing aspect, because your book also has some kind of genre twisting elements to it that make it a little bit harder to market, because it's it's got the multiple point of view. It's got a teacher as the main character for the most part.
Yeah.
And he is not just a murder hobo.
Yeah. He's about as far as you can get from a murder hobo than possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes the story more complicated and a really like worthwhile thing. And that's one of the things I want to talk about tonight about. So let me set the stage. So this is a book 2. We're going to try not to do too many spoilers, but it is book 2. So there's some things that you're just going to understand. So the book 2 starts out, surprise, not everybody in book 1 dies. Some people survive. Who survives is basically crewing a ship that is escaping Earth with a bunch of alien children, some humans they've rescued, and the remnants of a humanist strike team, as well as a Native American, like a group of Native Americans as well. And this group of people and aliens are on their way, but they don't have enough supplies to last the journey of like the destination that they're aimed at. And they're really fragmented, and they're not on the same page about where they're going and why.
Caleb would like to point out that the aliens are people too.
Yeah, yes, the aliens are. That's fair. The aliens are people too. The group gets caught in basically an intergalactic survival scam, just trying to survive, and pressures mount as kind of the foes that they've kind of built over the last months, year, like start to kind of come down on them, and their team is kind of fragmented as well. So there's a lot of different groups involved in this story, and they all have competing objectives.
Hi, BJ. Hi, Gary, and I don't know
Al. We got Al and
Alicia.
Alicia. Yep.
Alan, Alicia. I can't access the chat other than to see it, so forgive me if I don't respond because when I try to, it won't let me.
Yeah. The StreamYard's a little tricky. Yeah. So that's the backdrop of the book, you guys. Jason, I always start off my interviews. How would you like to be addressed when people come up to you at con?
I'm really, really easygoing. Hey, you works fine. You can call my name. You can say you with the face, big guy. Hey, you over there. I'm good. Whatever.
So you're like
We're
anything
comfortable
but
with.
Jason, huh?
Jason's fine. Jace. Basically anything though. Like I said, I'm pretty easygoing. Just grab me, tap me on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Just the one thing I will say is be careful if you're coming up on my left. I am blind on this side. It's not going to be a problem for me, but it might be a problem for you. You'll just bounce off me. But
Yeah. You turn and somebody's there. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so in your series, Caleb is the main character. And like we talked about, he's notably different than your typical lit RPG hero, which I personally love. He's a school teacher, and he starts taking on in book 2 some like warrior class attributes. I want you to talk a little bit about how you constructed Caleb and his psyche and some of the evolution that you wanted him to go through in book 2.
so I was watching when I was first starting head of the class, the character. I was working on a totally different story for an anthology for Tau, where the character was going to be an insurance agent, and I still think it's a cool build where the community can actually invest in this character with this insurance agent class, not for like a fire or something like that, but for if their adventurers die, they have that are supporting and protecting them, the community can get a share of the XP and loot back that they can then give out to other people as insurance. But like I said, I still think that would be a good story.
Yeah.
But when I was doing that,
You're not going to have as many of the moral implications of the
Right.
insurance agent story. Yeah.
No. But I happened to see popped up on my feed a clip of Mr. Rogers. And for maybe, I don't know if we have anybody younger on that might not know who Mr. Rogers is, but anybody older is going to know who Mr. Rogers is. Huge part of the culture.
Mhm.
And for all of us growing up. And he was talking to Congress. And this was when he was first getting funding for not just his show, but PBS when it was brand new. And these crotchety old white guys were all watching and rapt as he's walking through and telling them about what it is he's trying to do and stuff. And by the end, they're like, they didn't even vote. They did not even vote. They just did a standing ovation. And the guy leading it says, it looks like you've got your money. But like I said, they didn't even vote. They didn't bother. And the message that he was saying was a great message. And I thought we need more of this and less of everything else. And I also saw another clip from him that just played it on it. And so I thought, how can I use that spirit and that idea? This especially matters because Tao had already asked for the anthology as far from his main character as you can get. And his character is a half sociopathic, only half, but half sociopathic warrior who kicks ass and goes on tremendous galactic adventures without second thoughts or hesitation a lot of the time. And he wanted as different from that in classic lit RPG as you could get. So I thought, what's more different from a classic lit RPG person than Mr. Rogers? And so I started with a model of Mr. Rogers, and I really liked the teacher on the philosopher teacher on The Good Place.
Mhm.
And so I kind of got some of the inspiration in that as well. In my head,
Okay.
that's the casting.
Was it Chitty?
Chidi,
Yeah.
In my head, that's mostly the casting. Although he looks a little different as described in the book. But the mannerisms and even the fitness level, because Chidi's actually really fit in that. And but I wanted to say who's going to be the most fish out of water that you can possibly be. And then I wanted it to be that monsters were coming for the students he's trying to protect. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if the monsters were human? And then I thought,
a nice flip, a nice little trope flip there.
and that made me say, well, what if the children were aliens, and he's protecting the aliens, and he doesn't have powers, and he doesn't have, not that kind of powers anyway, he doesn't have the strength, he doesn't have the means to protect them, so he can't use murder hobo force, even if he wanted to. And
just to be clear for the audience, his initial skill set, and it changes over time, but his initial skill set is really like he gets to sidestep the beginning of the apocalypse because he is put in charge of these alien children. And so his skill set is like teacher skill sets. It's like show and tell, and what was the other one? Pay attention to me. It's like stuff that, to get the children to, work with them better as a school teacher. So
one of the ones that I like is he's got one called Relatable that gives him 3 special interests of anybody he sees for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which is funny because, it'll be like, murder hobo, warrior guy, and it'll be like, watches Transformers movies.
Yeah.
Like it's just like random stuff, loves to garden. Yeah. Probably great. Would be great trying to find somebody to date, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. He actually did use that in the love interest with the love interest.
In the love interest, yeah. I believe
not to date her, but to help when she was upset.
Yeah. If we've got any teachers listening, I want to know, what skill set do you want? What power do you want in your teacher repertoire to get your kids to do what you want?
There is a detention power. He specifically wouldn't take it.
Yeah, because he's not a crime and punishment sort of teacher.
No.
So I, if you've read Stumbling Up, that I really do like stories where, the characters are limited in how they can solve the problems that they've got before them. I'm really interested in the, I just don't punch things harder. I've got to use my brain to figure this out because punching, I'm not good at punching. So he's kind of got that. He's got some backup with some powerful friends eventually, but he's got to go about things a little bit different. Yeah.
And then now we're into Dropout, which does itself have a little bit of a difference because we've gone through a whole book, and it was either very, very brave or very, very foolish to not really get him powerful and OP in book 1, even by the end of it. Mm-hmm. Probably a little bit of both. But I wanted the whole 3-book arc to be more about the other stuff than about that. So he definitely gets a new class by the end of book 1. And I'm sorry, there's going to be minor spoilers because we're going to be talking about book 2. But and so he does have, so the first book is kind of the fish out of water story. It's the, how do I hold on to my morality when I'm just trying to protect people and the world rewards you for murdering people. And that's how you get powerful. Mm-hmm. And the second book is more when you take somebody like that, what would happen if you make them strong? And it actually takes a concerted effort by other people to even get him to that point. But once he is, I think it gets, it's an interesting to see what you can do with that kind of viewpoint when you actually have some power to back it.
It is kind of fun because it explores, like, book 1 is about what do you do when you don't have power, right? Yeah. Book 2 is what do you do when you have power, right? Yeah. Because, he's still Mr. Rogers, right? And even if Mr. Rogers can, bazooka the crap out of somebody, he's generally not going to make that choice, right?
Right.
But now he's got the choice, and the world is such a dark place that there's moments where, he does use force and then has to morally, like, struggle with the, with the choice of using force. And there's a lot of, like, which is the lesser evil, Yeah.
and there's moments I think that happen in this book, including one you were just talking to me about yesterday, that I don't think could probably have happened in almost any other book, where it's like questions will come up about whether or not it's right or wrong to use force in a particular circumstance based on situation. I'm trying to be vague, but
Yeah.
the thing with Krite.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's also some of this, like, you know, a lot of lit RPG books have like crime and punishment sort of like backing to them of like, oh, you know, you did the bad, I'm going to get vengeance. And this book is a little bit more complicated in that there's extenuating circumstances, you know, whether a person, you know, like there's mind control and there's all these like influencing like charisma aspects and stuff, and a lot of things involved in mind control and altering circumstances for people. And it's like, well, at what point does a person's responsibility exist when mind control is a thing that exists in the world, right?
Yeah.
And some other factors there. So it's it really does kind of, and I think really successfully struggle with some of these moral quandaries that you just don't see, and it makes the story deeper and better. Yeah. So, yeah. One of the themes of the system in your post-apocalyptic world is that it's trying to kill everybody, but also the system wants everybody to have children. But yet there's a lot of kids that die in the book. So talk to me about the system that's got this instinct to kill, but also create life.
Interestingly enough, and you can learn more about this, way more about this in Tao's books and in System Apocalypse Australia by the amazing K.T. Hanna. They really get into mana and what it is and what it's for and how it works. Because they covered it so much and so well, I wanted to avoid that. So I gave myself an early out with a good system, good in universe reason that I think makes sense for how Tao's book works. But the system isn't actually trying to kill people. It's trying to churn mana. And it needs more people so that it can churn mana. If it would be more advantageous for everybody to live, I'm sure the system would try to make everybody live longer. But if it happens to be life or death struggles and incredible danger, makes you grow and want to use abilities and stuff like that and churn lots of mana. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds and into the details on that, because some people might not have read Tao's book, and you don't have to.
Well, and ironically, I haven't read Tao's book or
Yeah.
KT's, so I don't have the details there. Yeah.
And you don't have to in order to. I did write it such that you have to kind of, and I'm thinking about in later I might tweak it to try to adjust this, but you do kind of have to know what stats are to some degree. Or it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. If you don't know games at all or don't know LitRPG at all, there'll be a little bit of a learning curve in book one that a couple of people that haven't read LitRPG had stumbled with, and I've had to answer a couple of questions for them. So I might put a little bit more of an intro explaining that kind of element, because I didn't realize it was going to have an appeal outside of Tao's audience, or an outside
of LitRPG.
An appeal outside of LitRPG.
Yeah.
But apparently it does. So that's good. And I think it makes sense. But
I actually have a very similar problem with Stumbling Up. You know, I've had some people that pick it up. You know, they hear the pitch and they're like, oh yeah, and they've never read LitRPG before, and they're like, what are these brackets doing here?
Yeah.
You know, and mine is pretty light, crunchy wise, but you know, there's classes and you know, people get skills, and you know, there's enough of a system interference that they're like, you know, what is this a science fiction? Yeah, it's a little bit harder.
Getting briefly into writer's meta, I don't think everybody on here is a writer. I know Doug is an amazing writer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Doug. He is now going to be releasing very soon a fun new book in his Elsewhere series.
Yeah.
I don't know what all he's said, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I've actually got him on the show in July to do like a
Nice.
a 1 year check-in on him too. So yeah.
Very cool. But inside baseball, for writers, what you run into whenever there's a genre is a genre gets established, and a lot of times it's really well explained and it introduces things real well, and you get into it. But once a genre is popular, if you start putting in those details that explain it and create a real easy learning curve, it's nice for the new people who haven't experienced the genre, but the people that have already experienced the genre get really sick of it really fast. And so you have to walk a weird line of you're either playing to a new audience, you're playing to the old audience, or you're making it something that doesn't really appeal to either of them. So it gets a little complicated.
Yeah. And one of the shortcuts that I've actually thought about with summing up as well is putting like a skippable page or two about like, hey, this is LitRPG, this is kind of how LitRPGs work. But I mean, honestly, in the genre, you don't see that much. But a lot of like genre folks are just writing to the genre. They're not quite like I said at the beginning, and hey there, Corey. But like we said in the beginning, our books are a little odd in that they maybe have a little bit wider appeal outside of the genre. Yeah.
And as DCC draws people in as well, and as the genre spreads and expands, and as more of us get on TikTok and Book Talk, and there seems to be a lot of crossings. Like Cred Happens is mixing
pulling
a lot
in a bunch of people. Yeah.
Pulling in a lot of people. So as we pull in more and more new people, I think it's a good idea to remember that it isn't just about. I don't like gatekeeping, and I want as many people to come in and participate and be able to come and go into the genre as possible. And we've got to try to make sure we figure out how to do that. It might be good to have some that are specifically designed for newer readers, but then again, everybody's going to come in through DCC anyway, and so they're all going to have the wrong expectation no matter what we do, because nobody else can do that.
Right? Yeah. Dang it! We needed like a less good lit RPG to hit mainstream, so that we,
or a more lit RPG, because it is true. Fantastic, but it isn't the norm for the genre.
Yeah, that's true. It is not. All right, let's get back to the book. One of my favorite side characters. So in this world, you've got Caleb, who's the main character, and you've got kind of the badass standing behind him is Lee. Standing in front.
Daryl's voice for Lee is so great.
Lee is amazing. We've got Evie, and we've got Quinn,
Penny,
who's kind of the villain, and we've got Penny, and then my favorite side character is Jerry. And they're pretty badass in this book. They are a mage sort of like alchemist class. And they've got a potion or an action for like every woe that everybody has. Like, you got metal melting your face off. Here's a potion. You're missing your leg. Let's reattach it. Like, I mean, they've got kind of a solution to anything. But can you just kind of explain what Jerry's skill set actually is, and how did you come up with it?
So Jerry was a tricky one, and I'm slightly uncomfortable even talking about their class without the description of how it came about in the thing. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a proviso that Jerry was not a drug dealer or a druggie.
Yeah.
There were weird circumstances that you can learn about in book 1 and in the short story in the System Apocalypse anthology 3 called Truth for Truth.
They're kind of a shady pharmacist.
They got magic drug dealer powers.
Yeah.
Through, again, no fault of their own, because the system is an asshole, and through a weird quirk of fate. And wrong Jerry, not a race car driver. And then when they took their higher up class, so you start with the basic class, was I've been doing book 2 so much I'm blanking in my head. But basically it was magic drug dealer. And then anyway, then they become a pharmaceutical revolutionary, which sounds like it would be fun, and you're like, in revolt, but no, it's revolutionary pharmaceuticals.
Mhm.
And so there's the magic base that they can actually use really well with the other stuff, because they can take powders and pills and dissolve them and spread them with the magical stuff, so that even as the advanced class, they're able to use their basic class in creative new ways that the advanced class wasn't even made for combat. Um, and it's a fun class that gets into crazy things like it's mad scientisty.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like
Yeah.
pharmacy, mad scientist pharmacy stuff. As far as how I came up with the idea, I have no fucking clue. This is what my head does.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what's different that I've not seen done before, and magic drug dealer uh, and magic pharmaceutical mad doctor is something I've never seen somebody do quite the same way. So
Yeah. Your book also goes a lot into like cybernetics and stuff, not with Jerry necessarily, but there's
yeah,
a lot of like body augments and stuff
there
that's
are.
that's going on as well. So the mix of magic and science and that evolved technology
Yeah.
is at the forefront. It's fun because it makes it even outside of like skills saving people. I mean, you can take some pretty big hits and come out with a bionic eye and half a brain, and
Yep.
still be alive. Maybe not be fully human, but yeah, it makes it, and then that then evolves different capabilities because being part machine has its advantages too in this world.
Yep.
So yeah, yeah, it's fun.
It basically becomes a gear slot in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Corey wants to know if you have a background in pharmacology. And if not, did you have to do a bunch of research?
I do not, and I did not. I just BS my way through the whole thing.
There you go. That honest God truth. I have a friend who is like a crime, like a murder mystery sort of writer, and all of her books are in like the real world. And I'm like, man, that is too much research. There's a reason we're fantasy sci-fi,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the way. Exactly.
This is totally the way.
I did have to do a lot of research. The out of everything that I did, there are only two things I had to do a lot of research on. One of them was Lee. I wanted Lee. His classes are very militaristic, and they are connected with like guerrilla fighting and tactics and stuff like that. And I wanted to be true to that. I didn't want to dishonor and also piss off people that know about those topics. You'll notice a lot of blasters in my book as well, to avoid having to do a lot of gun research. But there's also another character with some military stuff. Was a Marine, and so there's some research there as well. And then the other one I had to research was a character that surprisingly we haven't mentioned yet, which is Pavis, who is the snarky shield bot companion of the main character. I like Pavis. I think he's one of my favorites.
It's funny because I read book 2 because it's not out on audio, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sadly, correct. It's September.
Yeah.
I'm looking
and
forward
I can
to
never, every time it's so funny because every time I try to say Pavis's like name in my head, my brain glitches.
Yeah, it's because the word is Pavis,
Yeah.
and Pavis is the
like French.
it's the snooty French pronunciation. That was born of an interesting thing because in my head, it was Pavis, like the Pavis shield. And when we did the first narration of the short story that this was based on, which was called "What Would Mr. Rogers Do," from the for the System Apocalypse Anthology 2, the narrator said Pavis. And so I went in,
and it just became,
and it became Pavis, and it got this, and then it modified the character a little bit into being more snooty than they were going to be. So I like the little. I like to. There's I don't know if anybody else, Mr. Rogers, there's another character from TV history called Bob Ross, who's another amazing inspiration. I can't not give a shout out to Reading Rainbows as well. But Bob Ross had things, happy little accidents. I like the happy little accidents.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about Pavis. I had a question about the morality, and I think we've already kind of covered morality, but let's talk about Pavis, because one of the things that book 2 struggles with, and book 1, so when you have like a companion, like your bot that's your companion, you're in charge of them, right? And we have all these animal companions in LitRPG, and the main character is in charge of them.
Yeah.
And in this world, the two kind of strike a deal, not a deal, but like an agreement that like Pavis is his own person, making his own decisions. Caleb doesn't pry when Pavis has a secret, and just lets him be. And then there's a couple moments where the power dynamic between the two reverses, and Pavis actually gains control of Caleb. And it made me uncomfortable reading those moments. I was like, what? And like Caleb's like, what? And Pavis always has this like well-meaning reason why he's interfering, and it's supposed to like keep Caleb from inserting his foot in his mouth, right, or whatever. But there's that choice thing that gets interfered with, and I'm hoping you're going to do more with that in book 3. That's going to come to a head.
I don't want to talk too much about that, or maybe even this much about that because of spoilers. But with interviews, there's always going to be a little bit of something. So, but yeah, that's
let's just rewind back to Caleb and Pavis's relationship, and again, it's another genre-breaking thing to have the animal companion have as much agency as the main character. What made you make that decision?
Well, the fact is that in the System Apocalypse universe, when you make a contract with one of these beings, you have a lot of power over them. And he was not comfortable with the level of power that he had over this being. And once he found out that he thought it was a person and not just a computer program, he wasn't about to have a slave. He just wasn't. And especially not one that would like have to die for him and stuff like that. So he forced the issue of making a deal and like paying him and having him actually be an employee rather than a slave, in ways that the system won't actually enforce, but his conscience will. And then I thought it was, and he actually found a way to pay him, which is, I think, fun too. And this,
I think this is huge, right? We have so many LitRPG books where we have intelligent, conscious pet characters that are just have to go along with, the main character's orders them to commit genocide, and they've happily go along with it. And hey, Pop, thanks for joining.
Oh, hey, Pop. The other thing that's interesting, I think, for book 1 especially, is he's enforcing this to make these deals with a being that does not believe it is sentient, or that does not believe it is a distinct person, which I think is an interesting twist on that too. I like dealing with uncomfortable morality in times, like, for instance, one of the most extreme villains is the Humanist, and he is the only character out of the whole series, any of the series that I'm aware of, that won't have sex with other people because charisma is a thing. And he holds the line on that issue. He's not going to do something that he considers to violate free will, and yet in that way, and yet he is a monster in so many other ways, including other aspects of free will.
Sorry, I lost my video. I'll get this. We'll get that sorted out here in a second. But
it got wrecked.
Yeah, there we go. I've been edited out. But yeah, I mean, and this is the villain, right? This is the villain that's made this stance. And part of him, I mean, he is the ultimate like charisma as weapon sort, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right. If you've got questions for Jason, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm gonna keep going, and I've got some more crafting questions. But if you're a reader and you've got questions, and you want to hear more about Dropout, go ahead and drop them in the
Jensen,
chat.
Pop?
That's Jen. Yeah, my spouse.
Oh, haha.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is just me. I've stolen the show. He'll hopefully be back soon. Does anybody have any questions for me? The inspiration for the series as a whole, or the inspiration for a particular, like The Humanist?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back, Reck.
Hey. The series.
So the series was inspired by the Mr. Rogers video that I saw and just came from there. But also, it was really Mr. Rogers can't, the things, Mr. Rogers was great. He was an amazing person, but he is not equipped, and nor is anybody trained by him equipped to deal with the real world as we have it as adults, nor are they equipped to deal with certainly a system apocalypse. But even our real world has the same kind of things. I like to think of books as fictional things that tell the truth. A universal truth. So it's a lie that tells the truth. And our world, Mr. Rogers can't prepare you to deal with what's going on in the world right now. I don't want to drudge up any of the particular subjects, but you all know what I'm talking about. So to me, it's actually, as far as like the series as a whole, though, it really is an interplay between Lee and Caleb. The two of them are, and I get a lot of shit from a few people because Caleb starts off so freaking soft because he has to.
Yeah.
And this is another inside baseball for writers. Everybody wants your character to change, but they also want them to start off in a way that wouldn't require them to change.
Yes.
And so it's one of those things. With writing, you're going to be wrong no matter what you do to some people, and you're going to be right to other people. So everything's a choice, and it's always a trade-off. So I wanted a character that was as soft as possible and not be completely worthless. Although he gets accused of it, Caleb is not actually a pacifist even in the beginning. And it's a fair complaint that he's close. But he is not quite a pacifist. And then you've got Lee, who is what's called an anti-hero, or technically further than an anti-hero. In the beginning, he actually works for the bad guys. He's like Vader to the
he's
Emperor.
A villain in the beginning.
Yeah. They actually, the term is contagonist. It's like the opposite of a protagonist. They work instead of having a mentor, they have the Emperor, the big bad. And the guy that works for them, like Vader, is called a contagonist. And so I've got a contagonist on one end who's potentially redeemable, and I've got he's the badass, super masculine, militaristic, murder hobo style guy. And yet I think is still a person with understandable background and justifications and why he is the way that he is. And then you've got Caleb, and it's partly a test of where violence actually should be, how to balance out power and how the correct use of power. And so I kind of want to work towards the middle and find the right answer to that question, or the right answers to that question if it's different for each different person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see that progression as the two characters kind of work their way towards the middle and each other. Yeah. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Doug wants to know if you could put any main character or side character from another series into yours, who would it be and why?
Yes, a hot dog is a sandwich. For Doug's question, for any MC or side character from another series into this one, It's complicated because I wouldn't want to go outside of Tao's universe. That would be disrespectful because I'm playing in Tao's sandbox, and so I want to keep it to characters within the sandbox. So if I could take any of the characters from his and find a way to justify them into the world, into my story, I would use. I'm bad with names. It's the companion from Tao's book, who's kind of like almost like a genie or an ifrit. He's the spirit companion
Yeah.
because he's got so much spunk, and it's just a lot of fun. And then, what advice would you give? Do you mind if I answer the other question too?
Yep. Well, there's also the how much psychology have you studied?
I have studied a lot of psychology. I didn't do it as research for this, but I did double major, triple minor in, and this was psychology was one of my minors, and then I also was just absolutely fascinated. So back before we had the internet and the social media to eat all our time and attention, I read just about every book I could find on psychology and ethics and sociology and religions and philosophy and hypnosis and all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Back when I didn't have anything else to do, because it was either that or reread the same books and rewatch the same 3 shows over and over again.
Yeah. Corey wants to know what advice would you give to authors on world building, because it sounds like you've got this down pat.
I would not give my advice on world building. I would give Brandon Sanderson's advice on world building, which is give yourself a month or a deadline. Depends on what it is you're doing, but give yourself a set amount of time that you have to build the setting and the world and the system, and then get into the story, because the story is the most important thing. As far as it goes, I'm kind of the other way around from him, because left to my own devices, I would create a story that had characters and action and cool things and be in a giant white screen. I I did a lot of acting. I did a lot of role playing. I did a lot of other things. So the world building aspect, I didn't do a lot of DMing. That aspect doesn't come as naturally for me, and I've had to really work to add it. So a lot of writers tend to overwrite details in description. I'm just the opposite, and I have to force myself, or be
I'm the
forced by
same
my
way.
wife to put that in.
I'm honestly the same way, where I have to force myself to write the details in. Yeah, because yeah.
So the advice that I would give is do that. I would advise, even if you're a pantser like me, though I'm probably the most studied pantser I'm aware of, even if you're a pantser, I would build at least some of the setting first and throw in some cool elements, because I have found that if you know the setting of that particular scene, you can use it in ways that interact with it in ways that trying to force in later is a problem. It feels clunky and unnatural, and it's a lot of work to make it smooth. Whereas if you actually know what's where and have the cool elements built in, you can actually use them in the scene and they feel very natural without having to give yourself a lot of extra work.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, as somebody who has done some editing of other people's work and stuff, is you always want to make sure that if something is going to become something from the scenery is going to become like a vital part of the solution to the problem the characters have, make sure that you put it in the scene before they need it.
Yep. I will say to anybody that's interested in studying writing, I have a thing that I do. I call the one-page club, and it's the best solution I've ever seen to the fact that if you're a writer and you've had any kind of established success, people are going to want to either get you to teach them everything about writing, or they're going to want you, more likely and more usually, to write something for them that they have an idea for, and you can share the money 50-50 after you do all the work. But I want to help new writers, but there's also a limit on time, and especially as people get more success, or just as you have a crazy life like I do, it's hard. So the solution that I found is, and I'm easy to reach on social media, Facebook, and he'll do, I'm sure, the links to some of my places. But if you have interest in being a writer, make the best single page that you possibly can, showcasing what you're good at and how you do. Doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad, just matters that it shows the best that you're currently capable of. Send it to me. I'll get you some feedback, get you some information, and what's great about the one page is I can do it pretty quick, and I can send you on to other sources. And if you go through and you take the trouble to do that and then actually follow up and go and do the things that I tell you just do, and I'm happy to keep helping. And almost nobody takes me up on it, and those few that have seem to have really liked it and gotten some help. But it helps me make sure that I'm only helping people that are actually taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's really smart. Good way to do it. I love it. All right. If you've got questions, go ahead and put them out down. Corey's got one. How do you find writing life balance?
I don't.
Yeah.
I work, when I was writing book one, I was working 60 to 65 hours a week at my day job. And I'm a father of 2 disabled children, and a mostly disabled wife. And I would come home, do what I need to do. I would sit down at my computer, and I would sometimes be awake, and I would sometimes be unconscious, and I would sometimes have a long string of E's, and then I'd back my way up, and I'd focus on it. And I don't remember half of writing the first book, but as somebody that has great creativity, but also a lot of ADHD, it was really helpful for me to have a deadline. I had an opportunity and I had a deadline. And so what I did is I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so if I sleep in my chair for 2 hours and then I wake up and I get to work and read through it the next day, if it happens to make sense, I'll edit it and move on to the next thing, and then redraft a lot. But no, I'm not good at writing life balance. That was book one. Book one was the easier of the two. Book two, I got horrific infections that took me out of commission for 6 months, where I had IV and pill antibiotics regularly, and then also still while working full time and taking care of everybody. Although I was cut down to mostly only about 45 or 50 hours a week then. I just couldn't force myself to do it. And past a certain point when I was getting surgeries and stuff, I just couldn't do it at all. And it was killing me, but rested, recovered, still working full time, and finally got back to where I could do it and just powered through once I could. I still say I don't want to complain because I at least got the American version, where Shuttleton got the Australian version at about the same time. And so what he got is so much worse than what I got. But we did basically go through the same process. It's just instead of being in nearly a coma.
We're really worried about you there for a little bit. Work-life balance is really hard as a writer. I think a lot of us struggle with kind of ADHD elements. So if you don't have a deadline, then it never gets done. But if you do have a deadline, it's like killer. But it gets done.
There is one thing that helps with that. I have one here. For the ADHD, if you're not on medicines, I don't like taking medicines. It's destroyed too many. I know people that have had great success with some, but I've known a lot of people, including family, that it's destroyed their lives, and my biology is too close to theirs, so I don't take chances with that. But Magic Mind actually does help a little bit with that, with focus for me.
Yeah, manufactured deadlines, as long as you can convince yourself that they're real.
I can't. I've never been able to. I needed a real deadline. I've tried, but I can't use manufactured deadlines, which is why it's been good to have real ones.
Honestly, one of the things that's helped me get the most writing out this year has been the Royal Road release schedule. I just, I have convinced my brain that I am living and dying by my Royal Road posting schedule. That's and smart. So I figure out a way to get it done.
It creates the same pressure.
Yeah, it creates the same pressure in more of a minute way because you're not having like a whole book deadline at once. It's a chapter deadline, so it's a little bit more manageable for me.
That's smart. Although the successful action for Royal Roads is to usually be a lot ahead, so you'd have to not be in order to.
Yeah, which I am not, and I get that that's the successful way to do it. Right. But like stumbling up as my first series on Royal Roads, it's just kind of this wild roller coaster ride of getting it done. Yeah.
And if you need the pressure, you need the pressure.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, think about different, the work-life balance and the how to get it done is really is dependent on what your weaknesses in getting it done are. Right. Yeah. Okay. So Doug wants to know, there's a trope every author has tropes they veer into and ones that they avoid. What trope is on your avoid list?
Anything that helps sell books. No,
Honest truth bomb. Yeah.
Given that the main draw of progression fantasy is murder hobo progression,
Murder hobo alpha
it's actually
male.
true.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be clear, and this is going to be weird, but that isn't me. That's Caleb. I am really a character guy, and so it's one of the reasons I can do diverse, distinct characters with really distinct voices is I've been role playing and acting and improv acting all my life, and I write in deep viewpoint for characters. And so Caleb is Caleb. Caleb isn't me. If anything, Caleb is closest to a combination of like Mr. Rogers and the character from Chidi from Good Place, and my son Michael, who is a really, really sweet vegetarian, who is really, really kind, and also a little bit obsessive compulsive about those kinds of issues, like the main character. So there's some inspiration from my son in there as well, and there's a piece of me in every one of my characters, even the monsters. So I do try to take on the character, and you always end up with a little piece of yourself in them as well.
Mm-hmm. Lost Woods, he wants to know, setting a release schedule is a godsend. Do you have a treat or reward when you hit your goals?
I don't, but I do. I probably should. I do have a treat when I finish a book. When I have completely finished a book and sent it, and through the editor and everything, and sent it to the publisher, I use my favorite pudding, which is pistachio pudding.
Pistachio pudding. That's an odd pudding choice.
My favorite. Always has been growing up.
My spouse normally drags me out to dinner, but I try not to celebrate until all the edits are done.
That's what I'm saying too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like all the edits have to be done. And all the work of it. Yeah.
Because a lot of times if you celebrate, it kind of takes a little bit of the wind out of your sail. And that's one of the reasons I only celebrate the last stage.
Yeah. My brain gets mad if I celebrate and then there's more to do.
Yeah. Me too.
Like,
I'm the same way.
I don't want to go.
Hey, it's pistachio
these edits. Yeah. Have you tried stand-up comedy, Jason?
So kind of yes and kind of no. I've not done any in like on stage, but I friends and family, and I've done some when I was in high school and college, just for that kind of thing. I like stand-up comedy, but and I do kind of have a mind for it, but I don't have the passion for it that you would need in order to do that. I at least can be comfortable getting up on stage. So there's at least
like a third thankless job.
Yeah. I can do absurd theater though. I can do improv theater stuff that's pretty absurd. And I can make a fool of myself up on stage and be much more comfortable than if I'm actually being serious on stage.
What I'm hearing is that we need to pitch a Jason-centric improv at LitRPG Con 2027.
I don't know. That sounds like something that would sell books. I'm supposed to steer away from that.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. One of those tropes. Yeah. Okay. Corey wants to know, do you ever think who would play your characters on screen?
I have. I think the guy that played Chidi from Good Place would be great for my main character. Warwick Davis, who was very kind to tell me that my book was very good, if a bit short, at nearly 700 pages. One of my favorite actors and a childhood hero from the movie Willow was kind enough to give me a cover quote for the book and some high praise and called me a hero. And I was very much honored by that. And he also said that if it ever gets made into a movie, I should get him a job. So we need to get him in as, I want to say Pavis because he'd be great as Pavis, but he's already done that kind of role, maybe a little bit too often. So I would give him that role if he wants it. He'd be great as the raccoon wizard. And he could probably pull off all, actually.
Yeah, he's pretty versatile.
He can do just about.
He'd have
he
a
can do
hard
just
time
about
being
anything.
like Penny, though. I mean,
Yeah, he wouldn't be Penny. Couldn't be Lee.
Yeah.
That would
All
be
right.
funny, though.
All right, so book 3 is in the works, and this is going to be the last in the series. Is that correct?
It is. This one's going to be just a trilogy. Though calling it a trilogy when the books are almost between 700 and 800 pages. Book 2 is about 800 pages because Warwick said the first one was too short, so I had to make that longer. But
do you have trouble printing them? I mean, Amazon's got some printing limits.
I don't have trouble printing them because I have a publisher.
Yeah,
they have trouble printing.
There you go. All right, fair.
I got told. I asked Tao. I said, "Is this going to be a problem?" And he said, "Any problem."
He's like, "We'll figure it out."
Any problem with the print books is more than, and the audiobooks are more than made up for with the Kindle reads. So just go for it.
Yeah.
Kindle Unlimited reads.
All right. So with book 3 already in the works, what's on the horizon for you? What's after System Apocalypse?
So I have 2 other projects. Well, several ideas, but I have 2 other projects primarily in the works. One is a special project I can't announce yet, but it's a very big deal and is another co-author opportunity set in an incredibly hot universe right now. And I'm really excited about that one. And then I also have one that I've got in my own constructed universe. They're both within the epic fantasy LitRPG realm. One is apocalyptic, one isn't, but they're both action adventure and stuff. They're both more actually traditional LitRPG, but all my books are going to be incredibly character driven and with a lot of character depth. I just can't not. But the characters aren't Caleb. They're a lot more
traditional LitRPG characters.
More traditional LitRPG, and I love traditional LitRPG too. I do think the normal. Okay, you've got your traditional LitRPG level, and that is usually pretty heroic. And then you've got your Eastern, which is power hungry but still has a lot of heroic elements. But there is a new breed, which I still enjoy reading. I just do. That is psychopath murder hobo level, and that one I really enjoy them, but they also scare me on them appealing to younger readers who aren't getting the other, who are just focusing on that, because it does worry me that could be something that if that's all they're consuming and they're not also getting the others, or they don't have the core of the other, that it could be a problem. So
yeah. All right. What is your release schedule for the year? When is book 3 coming out ish? I mean, we promise not. I pinky swear not to hold you to whatever you tell us. But do you have just some general idea?
We already covered that. It's better if you do hold me to it. And Doug, I'm not calling you out except for in the one particular power and particular scene. Your character is mostly. Your character has a lot of challenges, but being a total psychopath evil person is not usually one of them.
I mean, I've only read book 1 so far of Doug's, but I would agree. Yeah.
It gets way more space opera galactic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right, release schedule. What release schedule do you want us to hold you to?
Did I volunteer to be held to it? That's not smart.
Do we contract it?
All right. Sorry, that's my alarm telling me my work break is done from work, and that I'm supposed to go back to work.
Yeah.
I want to have everything fully outlined and a good start in both of the 2 by LitRPG Con, just so that
I've work cut out for you then. Yeah.
Okay. I plan to do both series at the same time. Again, no work-life balance. There's no such thing. There's no writer work-life balance. I want. Doug gave me a December 15th. I would actually like book 3 to be done sooner than December. For financial reasons, it's better for me if I get it back before my taxes are due next time. So probably December 1st would be a good topic. I really like to do it within 6 months, but I'm going to give myself probably we'll give me 9 months for book 3, and we'll do 12 months for the other one that I'm doing at the same time. And it might flip flop which is which, but
yeah. Okay, so January for book 3. I'll take it.
So for the 2 books to be fully done will be the end of the year.
Yeah. Okay. And you're going to be at LitRPG Con, correct? Any other cons or anything you want to share about LitRPG Con and your schedule there?
This year I'm going to be at LitRPG Con. That's my favorite thing. It's the only event I've ever gone to of these kind, but I already know it stops head and shoulders above any of the others for at least community and closeness, and actually being able to interact with the writers and the narrators. The writers I love meeting with, and I love visiting with, and I love talking to, but I really, as an audiobook only listener, I really geek out at meeting the narrators.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool to be able to. I got to hang out with and bond with several of the narrators, including Daniel, whose last name I still can't pronounce as much as I love the guy.
Yeah.
I
think somewhere in there. Yeah.
Dan the Voice Man.
Dan the Voice Man. There you go. Where can we? I want Jason updates. Where can we find you online? Patreon, Facebook.
The best places are. I do have my normal Facebook that I had built up over the years as a fan, and that's up to 5,000 plus followers and stuff. But I try to use that for just general life stuff and writing stuff. For writing stuff and fun content and things like that, the best place is my Jason J. Willis author Facebook. And I'm also on TikTok now under the same name, and Instagram, Jason J. Willis author.
Yeah.
So you can find me on all the places. Usually, I wasn't ever a Royal Roads writer, so instead of having a fun, interesting name, you just get my regular name.
Yeah, fair. And my last question of the night: if you had one book that you were going to recommend, put on Pop's TBR or anybody's TBR, what book would it be?
Give me that one more. Oh, Pop's the
TBR question. Yeah, you're making a recommendation.
So that's really hard to do when there's so many great ones in so many different ways and so many different genres. But right now I'm listening to Don Chapman's, the end of Don Chapman's book, Interstellar Pawn. And she is one of possibly the 3 or 4 finest writers in LitRPG. Frankly, she'd hold up in a top rank in any genre. She's a phenomenal writer. If
what's the name of the book again?
Interstellar Pawn. It's a sci-fi LitRPG. More sci-fi than LitRPG, but really, really great. And she's just phenomenal. If popularity was based entirely on quality, she'd be way the heck up there, way more popular than she is. She's just fantastic. Yeah. And a great member of the community as well. Very supportive. Yeah.
She runs a couple of the Facebook groups, and she's been in the genre for a while.
As a side note thing, I am my wife and I are both co-authoring a short story in an anthology called Arcane Awakening that is doing a Kickstarter. So if you want to follow the Kickstarter, that would be great. Even if you're not going to support it, even if you have no interest, it's urban fantasy. Even if you have no interest in that, just follow it. It helps feed the algorithm and can help us with that as well. And if you're interested in urban fantasy, I can guarantee there's at least a few really great stories in there as well. I haven't read them all, but there's some really great ones.
All right. Well, to do a quick wrap up, this Sunday, I'm going to be on Crit Happens TikTok. We're doing Stumbling Up. It's like me, Boslow, and Ryan Maxwell trivia night. Cool. So you're going to get Stumbling Up, One Flew Over the Dragon's Nest, and Grand System Vending trivia. So join us. I think it's like 1 p.m. Eastern. I believe 12 Central, but double check. Follow Crit Happens. Drop me a note. I can give you the exact timing of that. I think they were still kind of trying to figure out when Boslo can get online. Next step from a podcast schedule perspective, on June 2nd, I've got Pop Hop and I have Stephen Landry talking about my Kaiju Evolution on the Reck and Pop Hop show. So that will be a ton of fun. And then I'm going to be on June 7th on the Long Winded Ones podcast with some spoiler sessions. So if you want to know if Richard really is immortal or how that romance between Ree and Richard went, join the Long Winded One and I, and we'll talk about Stumbling Up. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you so much, Jason, for joining me.
No problem.
We'll see you guys next week. All right. Thanks,
everybody. Stay in touch. I'm going to be air conditioned now.
Have a good one, guys.